Hello everyone, Brian here, and today I have the photo video of my trip to Texas for you. It was a total of a 5-day trip, and we spent the first 3 days, which was Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, in San Antonio. And then on Sunday morning, we checked out of the hotel and we drove up to Austin, where we spent the rest of Sunday and Monday and came back on Tuesday. While we were in San Antonio, we stayed in the Hotel Valencia. It was a really nice hotel. It was really decorated well, and the room was beautiful. And my wife had got us a Riverwalk view, which you can see. It's located right in the Riverwalk from the photos. And it was right around the corner from the main drag of the Riverwalk, where all the bars and clubs and shops were located, which not only made it a little bit quieter for us late at night, because obviously we're older and we might have wrapped it up earlier than some of the younger guys, but it also made it incredibly convenient for us, and we wanted to walk down there and have something to eat and just window shop a little bit and just check out the whole Riverwalk area. In addition, though, just to walking through the main shop and the restaurant area, we did walk all the way down to the other end, which had some nice little sights along the way as well. Had a nice little waterfall, and of course, some wildlife with ducks and other animals and everything else. And it was really planted very well as far as, flowers and bushes and whatnot. It was just a really beautiful area, and we did walk all the way down to the locks and dams, which was, I'd probably say, a couple mile, if not longer, walk, which is a little bit much that early in the day and that much heat. And of course, with me being the history buff that I am, we had to go check out the Alamo, which has some pretty important historical significance for the country and the state of Texas in particular. But I have to say I was a little bit disappointed to see how little of the original structure is still remaining to this day. I didn't really know this at the time, but one of the tour guides had told us that part of it was turned into a warehouse back in the early 1900s, and they tore a lot of the original structure down, which is incredibly disappointing because, it does hold some very important historical significance. And the simple fact that they tore down most of the original structure and didn't leave it intact for us to see, in later generations and hundreds of years down the road is really disappointing. But it was still really nice to see what was still there and, hear the historical stories from the tour guides that were available for us. And after spending a couple hours inside the Alamo, it was time to go grab some lunch. So my wife wanted me to go to a place called Dick's Last Resort, which was located on the Riverwalk. And for those of you who have never heard of it or been there or been to one, the waiters are somewhat rude and arrogant to you, which is part of the charm of the place. And they also make up paper hats for you with some unique sayings, as you can see here. This is the one our waiter made for me. And they make you sit there and wear it while you sit there and eat your lunch. And then after walking the Riverwalk for several more hours, it was my turn to pick where we wanted to have dinner. So I chose Mad Dog's British Pub, which had a really cool female band in there, which you're going to hear right now. After our 3 days in San Antonio, we drove up to Austin on Sunday, and we stayed at the Radisson Hotel, which is right on the corner near the Congress Street Bridge. And for those of you who don't know, the Congress Street Bridge is where almost 750,000 bats live, and every single night at sundown they fly out in search of food. And you can see in the pictures here, I did take some decent shots of the streams of them flying out. I don't know if it was by accident or on purpose that my wife chose the Radisson Hotel, which happened to be right at the Congress Street Bridge. But she did go to college in Austin, so she was familiar with this, even though she's never seen it before. And thankfully, like I said, we happened to be right there. So all we did was have some dinner at TGI Fridays, which was attached to the hotel, because we were pretty close. It was about an hour and a half away from when we checked into the hotel to when the bats were supposed to start at sundown. So we just walked out after finishing dinner and walked down to the bike path. And we had a really good view of it. It was really amazing to see all these bats just come streaming out. The whole thing lasted somewhere between 4.5 and 5 minutes, and to see almost 1 million bats just come streaming out and flying down along the river, along the tree line, I guess they do it every single day at sundown in search of food somewhere, I guess, in town. I would think there'd be plenty of bugs and insects and whatnot for them to eat nearby, but they tend to fly off a pretty good distance. And like I say, it was a pretty amazing sight to see. And at times while we were watching this, it looked like some of the bats were actually flying right over the heads of the people that were standing on the bridge. I mean, there were people lined up there probably for well over an hour before it started, trying to get good spots. And all the people renting boats and those little duck boats and canoes and paddle boats and whatnot were all underneath the bridge, as well as some of the paddle boats and ferry boats for people to take tours all show up around the same time every night just before it starts. Because like I said, you can almost time it down to within about 5 minutes of when it's going to start, and it was something I was really glad I got to see while we were there. And after we saw all the bats, we took a walk down to 6th Street, which is where all the bars and clubs are, and they call Austin the live capital of music of the world. And I have to say, most of the bars did have live bands in them, and thankfully it wasn't that crowded in there on Sunday night. And of course, by the first picture you see, we did go to Coyote Ugly, and these were a couple of girls that were bartending there that night. And of course, the hottie in the jean shorts was off from Body Shots that night, but I really just didn't feel comfortable doing that with my wife sitting right there. It would have been nice though, she was pretty damn hot. After we left Coyote Ugly, we went to Pete's Dueling Piano Bar, which was a lot of fun. These guys were not only great piano players, but they were hilarious and pretty good singers too. And they did play a couple of the requests that I had, which was a lot of fun. And like I said, thankfully it wasn't that crowded there. It seemed like a lot of the people really didn't come out until around midnight when we were about to wrap up and head back. The next morning, we just walked up and down the main street towards the Capitol building to see the last couple sites in town. But unfortunately, after a few hours of walking, I wasn't feeling very well. I don't know if I call it a 24-hour bug or if it was something I ate, but I started throwing up later on in the day. I mean, thankfully, it was the last day there, so it didn't ruin our trip, and we got to see everything we wanted to see. So we had a great time, though. Texas was great, and we definitely look forward to moving there sometime in the next few years when that's possible. And that's pretty much all I had for you for my trip photos. Hope you guys really enjoyed the video. I will talk to all you soon, and I hope you have a good one.